I mean, easily one of, if not the biggest star in the history of WWE, certainly with what he's done in his post WWE career.
Yeah.
And tag match on night one, he successfully pins the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Night two, it's Bloodline Rules. We see Jimmy interfere. Jay responds. We see Solo interfere. Cena responds. We see The Rock come down. Undertaker responds. And it was really through the generations, all these different eras of WWE represented right there. And Cody's the man. What do you think of The Rock's performance, seeing Cena and The Undertaker one last time? That was all pretty cool.
Rock was marvelous for 2 nights. Absolutely marvelous. I didn't notice any slips in his timing or any false steps. Uh, he just was amazing. For somebody that had been somewhat dormant as far as the in-ring wrestling stuff is concerned, he did phenomenally well. His punches are great. His kicks are great. His psychology was untouchable. No doubt about that. I thought the inclusion of Undertaker and Cena, so forth, was brilliant because it got more star power on the show on the back end of a long night. And it gave the fans a real significant reason to reinvest emotionally. And that was really a smart move.
There's been a lot of emotional investment in the Jimmy and Jay storyline too. And I saw a lot of criticism online with people saying that this was their least favorite match of the weekend. I saw some people even going so far as to say it's the worst WrestleMania match in history, which I think is a little over the top.
Yeah, you think?
Why do you think, for whatever reason, it seems like Jimmy and Jay didn't resonate with a lot of the audience this time?
Oh, it was just the story they were telling. All those kicks. I became numb to them. Uh,
The super kicks.
yeah, yeah. And, you mentioned before we started recording that it seemed like maybe that match was copying from the super kick phenomenon created by the Young Bucks. I don't know that I hadn't thought of it that way, but I could see somebody would or could. But anyway, they were the story as it was laid out didn't work for me. The kids worked hard, and they're tough kids. I've known them since they were babies, and they've always been athletic and not afraid to take bumps. And when you see 6, 7, 8-year-old kids taking bumps at TV, it's pretty phenomenal. They're extraordinary in that regard. So, but I just thought it was the wrong story to tell. I needed to see more wrestling and less kicking.
Well, we're hoping that the bloodline story continues. The rumor and innuendo, that's something I wanted to ask you about, is that Jacob Fatu has been signed. Now, as you and I are recording this, we've not seen Mr. Fatu on camera for WWE, but we certainly saw his work in MLW and a handful of other independents. We had him at Ric Flair's last match. I've always been super impressed with Jacob Fatu, and I'm curious why it took so long for him to get a contract with WWE or AEW. What did you think of Jacob Fatu in this news that he's apparently signed with WWE?
Good signing. Uh, not not surprising after WrestleMania. I'm sure they'll have more signings. Tony Khan's doing a great job in signing new talent and quality new talent. Uh, so it's just the time of the year. Rosters move, they change, they're amended. Hence the draft. Hence more signings, new marriages, so forth. So that's not surprising to me. That's just kind of the tradition in the pro wrestling business. After WrestleMania, you adjust your roster, and I thought it was good that they booked some of those NXT kids. I just like all wrestling. We're talking about our you know company that I don't work for anymore
Right.
because we're wrestling fans here. That's all.
Yeah.
And and how do you ignore the biggest pro wrestling event in history? On this show, I don't think you can. So, but it reminded me a little bit of how I felt when we played Wembley. It was just a sight to behold,
Yes.
and we'll do that again in August, no doubt.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Tickets on sale now, AEWTIX.com. If you haven't made plans to be there, you should. They're planning to go clean. I was told that on no uncertain terms last week that it's going to go clean. So
Good.
there you go.
That means it's sold out.
Yes, sir.
There's an ass every 18 inches.
And boy, there was plenty of asses in Philadelphia. Night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. We saw the women's 6-man tag, or 6-woman tag rather, on night 1. It felt like a Marvel movie. I mean, it looked like a lineup of superheroes. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi picked up a win over Damage Control. Obviously, Jade Cargill is the blue chipper, fresh off the AEW run. But Bianca Belair and Naomi, they've both had their own WrestleMania moments. This was pretty awesome to see. And it's another reminder, Jim, of how far women's wrestling has come. A few years ago, we wouldn't have seen 6 women get 8 minutes like this and have a real wrestling match. It would have been bra and panties, this or that. And I'm glad we're moving in this way.
I am too. I am too, very much so. I've been a big proponent of women's wrestling since back in the Attitude Era. So we'll go back to that. I hired a lot of great stars at Hall of Fame level: Trish Stratus, Jackie Moore, and others. So I'm happy for all those gals. They deserve an opportunity. They deserve an opportunity, no different than the guys. None at all. And and I'm, at least I know that my old schoolness is maturing, because there's a time in my life where, when McGurk or Watts would book the women, Watts did it less than McGurk did. McGurk just didn't want to say no to Moolah when she'd call, because I sat in a lot of those calls, and she'd sweet talk him and all that good stuff. She's got a new young girl. It's going to be big, blah, blah, blah. And so he'd bring Moolah and her girls in. But what it did was took four spots away from the guys, because no matter what, the card wasn't going to change much as far as the number of bodies booked. And so that was how that worked. It created an imposition because of facilities and so forth. That's why the women had to get dressed in closets at times, or down the hall out of sight. Not, God forbid, they get the chance to take a shower. So at least the facilities have changed. The equal opportunities are there, but it sure wasn't that way when I was young and just first got in the business. It was embarrassing.